Harbaugh poses a threat to the Chiefs in the AFC West.
Yeah, he does. Because, I mean, that press conference, which is wild, man. I mean, he's a wild dude. But see, what
Hey, Dave Campbell was wild, too.
Look,
That's true.
He is a good – I remember talking to John Harbaugh this year before we did the Week 18 game between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And I was giving John his props about just how good of a football operations builder he is. Bringing in coaches, changing coaches around, putting them in good positions, how they really then affected the performance of the players on the field, getting a lot out of it. And he had a bunch of guys leave this year, right, who wound up getting coordinator jobs. And he said, you think I'm good at this? My brother is the best that there is at that. At building organizations, building coaching staffs, building up players, teaching players how to win. That's something that's desperately built, because every year we talk about the Chargers and we talk about the fact that this is one of the most talented teams in the NFL that were being underutilized, underdeveloped, that really weren't spreading their wings, so to speak, to the degree that they should. He'll get that out of them. He'll get that out of Justin. He'll get that out of this offensive line once he fixed the right side of it. He'll get it out of Gus Edwards. He's going to be a battering ram for them as a running back. And on the defensive side, I promise you this. As long as Joey Bosa can stay healthy and Khalil Mack are healthy, these two guys will terrorize. They will terrorize, and Derwin James the same.
Well, number one, eventually he'll get to Mahomes. He's not getting him to this year.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. They have no receivers. Eckler leaves. And, I know you know a lot more about football than me. When I see Bosa and Mack for this franchise make a big play in a big game on defense, call me.
I'm with
Call me.
I'm with you there.
Call me there.
These guys stay on the field.
I mean, listen, you got Herbert. He's one in the NFL. Eventually, they're going to be a good team. I'm not quite ready to say they're going to challenge the Chiefs in 2024.
Well, I'm not trying. Listen, I think that on its face, I can't argue with you about that. What I would tell you is this. Do I get to look at a resume? Do I get to look at you in 4 years as the coach in San Francisco, as an NFL coach? You went to 3 NFC championship games when nobody saw it coming. I think I get to do that. Mm-hmm. Do I get to do it when we didn't hear about Colin Kaepernick until you put him in the starting lineup? I get to do that. Do I get to look at you restoring Michigan to national prominence, even though that's on a collegiate level and what have you, in terms of all the years you were struggling against Ohio State, and then all of a sudden you righted that ship and you went to back-to-back postseason appearances and you won a national championship before walking away? I get to look at all of that. And then I got to look at you and your reputation in player development and how you big up dudes and you find dudes that nobody was anticipating, nobody was thinking about. I'm also looking at Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I know these brothers can play. But the reality is that you had two $20 million a year wide receivers that were missing the playoffs with Justin Herbert as your quarterback. Now, injuries had obviously a lot to do with that. Yeah. But nevertheless, that's your reality. And so I'm looking at a Jim Harbaugh coming up in there, and I'm saying he's seeing all of this. Plus, he knows how to evaluate talent. And maybe he's finding diamonds in the rough. I'm looking at a Quentin Johnson, a Joshua Palmer, a Darius Davis. These are wide receivers that you got never really paid any much attention to them. Maybe he believes in them. Maybe he's looking at them and saying, we need to get a bit more roughhouse offensively. That's why we went out and got Gus Edwards to run the football. He's more of a bell cow coming out of the running back spot than an Austin Eckler would be, even though I love me some Austin Eckler, okay? And then you look at what you want to do defensively, because they had some problems last year as well. And we know he's not going to tolerate that. All I'm saying is when I look at Jim Harbaugh, he gives me cause to pause and makes me say there's a reason to believe if anybody can disrupt the dominance of a Kansas City, particularly in the AFC West division, I think he's somebody that figures out. Look, I think he's the kind of guy that's looking at it. This is who's standing in our way.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I mean, I think there was a few things that I thought were a little kind of absurd, but Harbaugh, so I do agree that I think, I can't see the Chargers being able to be a threat in 2024. I think this is going to take a minute or two to get established. But after that, the second and third season onward, I think the Chargers are going to skyrocket to being a perennial contender season after season, top 2, 3, 4, 5 team in the NFL, where you're always like, you can't ever count the Chargers out. And I think it does pose a legitimate threat to the dynasty and the legacy of a Patrick Mahomes. Because before this move, Patrick Mahomes was having a walk in the park, right? The Broncos were completely a clown show. The Chargers, even with Herbert, a clown show because they are just so poorly coached and managed, and it was just a disaster. And the Raiders, also a clown show, right? I mean, it's just been an absolute walk in the park for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in that division, and that really, really does help. Tom Brady had the same thing. I always say this. The Bills did nothing for 2 decades. The Miami Dolphins did nothing for 2 decades. The Jets had like a few seasons. Other than that, they did nothing for decades. And so it was just Patriots. And that's what it takes. It's the same thing how LeBron James was able to go to all of those NBA finals. There was nobody in the East. The closest they had were like the Pacers. And it's like, what are you going to do? So that's what a lot of times these dynasties or these GOAT-like players, they're not only absolutely elite and amazing, but they do also get some of the bounces rolling their way, right? Having the Broncos having to fire their coach, and same thing with the Broncos. The Broncos now, since Patrick Mahomes has been in the league, what are they on, like their 3rd coach for the Raiders, I mean? It was Gruden, and then it was, his name's slipping my mind, the guy from Josh McDaniels, and then, now they have AP, and so it's just like, and who knows, what is he going to be? And the Broncos have been all over the place. They cannot get a quarterback. They cannot right this ship, and now they have Sean Payton, and if Sean Payton actually is supposed to be as elite as he's supposed to be, and he rights the ship, and Harbaugh is supposed to be as elite as he's supposed to be, you're now talking about 2 teams that truly can make some noise. So it's really kind of like Patrick Mahomes better win these next couple seasons, because you have to imagine that both the Chargers and the Broncos are going to be the real deal, and that it's going to be significantly harder, that you're not going to be able to just be guaranteed to just like win 4, 5, 6 games in your division like years past. And that will change everything. That will absolutely change everything. Make no mistake about it. Justin Herbert is the real deal. He's just never had the opportunity to truly shine. Now you're finally giving him an elite coach like Harbaugh, who's going to make moves. And that team will be for real. That's not to take anything away from the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, especially because I think Patrick Mahomes is absolutely cutthroat. And I think if he sees that things are getting away and he no longer has that dominance, I think Patrick Mahomes would happily, take less money to try to build the team and get even better. Like, I think Patrick Mahomes' mindset is on winning 8 Super Bowls. I think that's absolutely what's on his mind. It's got to win 8. It's very similar to Kobe Bryant when Kobe Bryant was in the league, and his whole thing is like, I want to, I got to win 6 or 7 rings, because they even said that in one of his famous interviews, they asked Kobe, they're like, oh, how happy are you, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty happy. And they're like, well, what are you not happy about? He's like, I only won, I didn't win 6, and that was the number. You got to get to 6 because of the Michael Jordan. And so I really think that Patrick Mahomes at this point is not thinking records, not thinking total touchdown passes, any of that type of stuff. He's thinking rings. I got to win 8. I got to win 8. And I think he will do whatever it takes to do that. I really, truly believe that Patrick Mahomes is the type of player that will take like $30 million a season. And, if that means that they can get better players, especially if a team like the Chargers or the Broncos really, truly establish themselves as, these are not give me games. These are brutal games, that it truly is a coin flip. It really is where does this ball bounce? Does the ball, do you get that bounce where it's in the 1 yard line on a punt, or does it go into the back of the end zone and now it's a touchback? Like, the margins will be inches, I predict, in the future, in the not so distant future, within the next couple of seasons, which is exciting, which is awesome. Whether you're a Chargers fan or a Chiefs fan, that is what you should want. It makes it more exciting. Having that level of competition makes it great. And again, I just did a clip before where we were talking about the Texans coming. I mean, the Texans are coming as well. I mean, like, it is getting legit over there. It is getting tight, and I'm excited to see what all these teams can do, and especially if the Chiefs, prevail and Patrick Mahomes prevails, even though these other teams get significantly better and also reach elite status, and yet the Chiefs still end up winning Super Bowls. That just skyrockets Patrick Mahomes' legacy to that much greater lengths, as well as Andy Reid. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think Harbaugh and the Chargers pose a threat to the Chiefs? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.